At times, it seems like we spend half our lives behind the wheel, told when to go, when to stop, when not to turn, or to watch the walk. But long before we get on the open road, we have to open the doors to the MVD.
No, I can't use that one. I need a bank statement or something. Ignore me.
Squeezed between testing your peepers and taking your picture is the multiple choice test that every person must complete. You have to answer at least 18 out of the 25 questions correctly to pass. But all of these questions are fairly simple, right? Well, apparently not for everyone. Last year, the MVD issued 93,000 of these driving tests, but only 51,000 people passed on their first try. That means 45% of the first-time takers do not pass. So we took the test to the street and got off to a surprisingly good start. Question 1. You must yield the right-of-way to an emergency vehicle by A, pulling off the road or as near to the right as possible, B, moving into the right lane and drive slowly until it is passed, or C, speeding up to clear traffic.
A.
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 Pull over to the side of the road?
Correct.
Yes.
Next question. You're driving down the road and you see a problem up ahead of you. You should warn the driver behind you by A, tapping on your brake pedals several times, B, turning on your emergency flashers, or C, sticking your arm out the window and waving up and down several times.
It's either 1 or 2.
Turning on your emergency B.
B as the correct response.
I'd say probably put on your emergency flashers.
That is incorrect.
Yeah. Oh, damn. Oops.
Is it wrong too?
Maybe you should walk just to class from now on.
I'm a good driver though.
No, a good driver knows the answer is A.
Tapping your brakes?
Okay, how about this one? You have a multiple lane road with traffic going in the same direction, and there's a solid white line. That means that the driver should A, stay in his traffic lane, B, may pass, or C, may pass only if it's safe to do so.
A.
Unless it's a spaced white line, you should stay in the lane.
A solid line means you don't cross the line always, whether it's yellow or white or whatever.
Every person we talked to got that answer right. Why then are so many people still doing the wrong thing?
It's the Wild West. They can do whatever the heck they want.
The last question has to do with the weather. If the roadway is wet and your car starts to slide, you should A, slowly ease your foot off the gas, B, shift down to a lower gear, or C, pump the brakes quickly and firmly.
C, pumping.
Wrong.
Wrong.
My answer was C.
The correct answer is A.
That's not good.
Probably pumping the brakes wouldn't help, so I guess I would have to go with A.
A.
You are 3 for 3.
Yay.
That's one driver who definitely knows the rules of the road.
Yeah, be careful out there.
Shelton Dotson, Eyewitness News 4. 5-year-old Jaden Ferran is not much for television interviews, but put him on a baseball diamond and his head starts to spin, along with the rest of his body. Jaden's first day of baseball got off to a really bad start when a ball bloodied his nose.
Most kids would be done at that point. I was a little scared, and then he just, within 5 minutes of the blood coming out, we were able to clean it up, and he was back out like nothing ever happened.
And as you will see, some things never change.
Oh, man, not another nosebleed.
But one pitch later, Jaden got even.
Whoa!
Jaden's Little League coach was so impressed with him that he wrote a letter recommending that Jaden play here on the south lawn of the White House in front of President Bush. When Brenda received an email telling her that her son had been selected, she couldn't believe it.
So I had to read it a couple of times before it set in, and I was excited.
As for Jaden,
attaboy,
he had some other concerns about meeting the president.
Afterwards, the White House, the president, does he have toys?
Brenda says it's both exciting and humbling that her son will represent New Mexico at the White House, making this one trip that will bring home a lifetime memory for both mother and son.
Just the excitement of him being able to do this, opportunity of a lifetime.
This all started with a question from a viewer. Jennifer writes, why can't the hundreds of thousands of dollars that the red light cameras bring in be put toward funding our schools? The short answer, it all has to do with the way the law is written. You remember the drama. The state thinks Albuquerque's making too much money off red light cameras, so it tries to take money made from the fines. Mayor Marty shuts down the cameras in protest, then turns them back on a few days later. Finally, everyone agrees the city will keep enough to run the program. The rest goes to the state. Where exactly? Try the Metro Courthouse. So far, the city has transferred profits for the first 9 months of fiscal year 2009. The cameras netted about $5.5 million in that time. Roughly $1.3 million went to the state. 10% of that money, about $130,000, goes toward DWI drug court programs. The other 90%, or $1.1 million, goes to the New Mexico Finance Authority for the Metropolitan Courthouse Bond Guarantee Fund. That's where the money sits in case the state can't pay the loan for building the courthouse.
Basically, it's guaranteeing the payment on a loan. We do get payments for these bonds or loans that we issued from the Metropolitan Court, but this is amount to guarantee that if those payment revenues from Metropolitan Court were to fall short.
The money hasn't been touched since the state hasn't had a problem making the payment. We sat down with the director of the administrative office of the courts, who handles the distribution of the funds. We ask why the money couldn't be used to fill the current hole in the budget, let's say for education.
I have a lot of ideas about how to answer that question, but the real answer lies with the legislators. They passed a statute to take the money and put it toward these two uses, the bond fund and DWI drug courts.
And there's been another change this year for the red light camera money. The bill states from here on out, the city and state split the profits 50-50. The city's share going to traffic safety programs and other costs. Artie Pepin says these laws were written before the massive $650 million budget shortfall appeared. And while the red light camera money would be just a drop in the bucket, where the money ends up could still be changed.
It's completely in the hands of the legislature. They changed the statute in 2008. They changed it again in 2009. I haven't heard anything about them changing it in the 2010 session, but they could.
Mayor-elect Richard Berry.
The mariachis at the New Mexico State Fair have a new stage to call home this year. The Via Hispana Pavilion got a makeover that fairgoers are happy to see.
The stage is nice for the performers, though. It's a lot bigger than the old one. You know, they were always kind of crowded, but it's a lot better.
It's the first major renovation this place has seen in about 25 years. Brand new stage with covered seating for 600 people. Got all kinds of New Mexico music going on out here.
The food court and the midway were repaved, giving the grounds a cleaner look. And speaking of food,
you can have them plain or you can have them cinnamon sugar.
Mini donuts are back, a favorite that was missing at last year's fair.
And actually my sister named it Daisy Donuts because when you see a daisy, it makes you feel happy, you smile, and people love watching these being made.
Over at the Midway, the same favorites are still around, along with some new attractions for the youngest fairgoer.
I love you, I love you.
And whether it's your first time at the fair or your 20th, like Joanna Romero, there's always something exciting to see.
We live close by, so it's tradition to come and see all the new things and see and the old things too, you know. You always have to come and have a turkey leg and a Navajo taco, you know.
Now the annual state fair.
In Edgewood, Joe Babe has plowed for his neighbors since 1996. He started at 6:30 this morning, but the snow is several inches high.
As you can see, this is going to be pretty tough. You know, I can get only so much, and it's already iced over. It's not going to melt today.
Being a delivery driver isn't the ideal job in this type of weather. We caught up with Dylan Manzanetis in Moriarty.
The roads are pretty bad coming through the canyon. You know, you have to watch your speed. That's sliding all over the place.
Many people traveling on I-40 are pulling off. Connie's Grill seemed to be the hot spot in the middle of snow-covered Moriarty.
There's a lot of travelers. We have 2 truck drivers right here. We saw probably about a 70% increase in business.
Meanwhile, the freezing temperatures are taking a toll on people's wallets.
The unfortunate part, it is good for business, but you know, with the economy the way it is, it's hard to see people coming in and trying to repair pipes with the little money that they have.
This hardware store in Moriarty has pretty much sold out of heat guns, heat tapes, insulation, anything to unthaw pipes. Ted Hart, the owner of the hardware store, is also the mayor of Moriarty. He says the city's pipes are in good hands.
Just the guys going out and making sure that the meters are unthawed and that everything in the city's protected.